Hello there, welcome into this review video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Cube Controls Formula Pro. Let's get it out of our box. Here we go. First things first, this video is sponsored by our friend Tony Kanan. I'm sure you've seen him in a lot of my videos. He's a great guy, he helped me get this wheel, so I wanted to do it justice, do a good review of it, try it out. So in this video I'm going to break it down to the build, the features, the compatibility, and then we're going to hook it up, jump in the rig and do some laps. Okay, first things first, the build. First thing I noticed, and you can feel immediately, is the front carbon fiber 100% plate. It's 4-5 mil thick. Gives it such rigidity. It looks, feels cold to the touch, very strong. The body CNC machined aluminium, molded grips, elastomer. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've driven it with and without gloves for quite a few races. I'm sure if you jump on the YouTube channel, you can see I have done several ILMS and IMSA videos with this, and including some endurances. Nowadays I wear gloves, but that's just the general wear and tear of using a direct drive Formula rim. It takes its toll in the end, but I've tried it with and without gloves. I think it's fantastic. It gives you that soft touch feel, but firm rigidity. It's hard to explain until you try these out, but it feels good. It has the right amount of squish, but leaves you with a comfort feeling for long running use. Okay, grip to grip is 28.2 centimeters, which is just over 11 inches. The weight of the rim is 980 grams, which is around 2 pounds, just over. As I've said and repeated, very firm, no flex, absolutely. I mean, I'm not the strongest person in the world, but this thing, when it's hooked up to your rig, I come from the G29 Thrustmasters, a GT rim with my Fanatec, and this thing is, I can't imagine not using a Formula rim from Cube Controls at the moment. I do have the CSX2 to review coming soon, and that's going to be in my rig after I've done this because I've completed my review period of this. But overall, super happy. Okay, now onto the features. We're covered in buttons and rotary knobs, so let's run through them. We have 13 momentary buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They're all backlit. We'll show that off when we move to the POV cam when I'm driving. We have 4 rotary encoders. Great sound, great feel, great texture. You don't need to look down while driving to really feel how much you're incrementing. We have got 2 rotary thumb encoders. Best to show them this way around. They're here, where your thumbs go in. Good for traction control. That's what I use them for. We have a multi-directional joystick, up, down, left, right, can click in. And something I didn't realise, I have 2 of these rims now. It's actually a rotary encoder on top as well, which don't use yet, but I plan to. What else we've got? The red rotary encoder here is for the launch control system. So you have this double clutch system at the bottom here. First one for 100%. Second one to adjust the potentiometer, like the bite point. You can roll this red encoder to adjust the second clutch's bite point. So for a good launch control, and you're away. Really love it. The shifter's up top, magnetic, very tactile. Now, when I first installed it, it was quite what I thought loud. That's me hitting them quite hard. I mean, they are loud, but they are firm. You don't miss a shift. You get a good tactile feel, especially racing with headphones. I'm really, really happy. Now, they are adjustable and they're Hall sensors, so they're not going to wear out. Very, very impressed. One of the features that, it was the only thing when I first got it, I was surprised how loud it was. Turned into something that I'm really glad is here. To point out here, you've got 2 switches here, up and down. When they're down, they light up red. Really helpful. So actually this one I don't use for racing, I use for my chat with the community, Discord. When I'm talking to another driver, I flick it down. They can't hear me, but YouTube can, or Twitch. flick it up and they can hear me what I'm saying. So I use that for voice activity or push to talk. And then I have a push to talk map button here, so if I can leave it down and control. These momentary buttons up here, when they're pressed, they flash red. Pressed again, they go clear again. This is good for, say, pit limiter or neutral. So I use this one for the pit limiter. I click it and it will flash to let me know the pit limit is active. Click it again, no, it's off. But there's a whole host of arrangements. I speak to lots of drivers and how they have it arranged. You get really familiar with it. The buttons have these molds around them. I hope that's coming across in the video. It means you don't need to look down. You can't miss the button. You get close and your thumb or finger will land. So especially the pit limiter is surrounded by this quite concave, high-low. Your thumb just dips into it naturally, and it's really reliable. It's something I've grown to get used to. I think if I now used a rim without these molds around each of the buttons, it would be very difficult. We'll come back to VR compatibility, because this is, I think, that's the killer for VR. That's the killer feature, because you can really feel out where you are when you can't see. All right, just trying to think. So I'll show off all the lights and everything when we jump on the rig into the POV cam. Okay, let's touch on compatibility. Compatibility wise, it works with the Simucube 1 and 2, the Thrustmaster, the Logitechs, Accuforce, Fanatec. Obviously I have a quick release, but I'm going to mount it to my Simucube, which I'll show off in a moment. Really happy. VR friendly. I've tried a few rims in my time. VR friendly wise, this has got to be the king. Yes, there's a lot of switches and dials, but the layout I think is very familiar, very easy to get used to. And as I say, with all the height moldings for the buttons, you can feel exactly where they are. Now, I don't do a ton of VR myself, but I do have the Oculus Rift S and I do like to dabble. I'm more of an endurance driver. I like driving. The shortest race I usually do is a 45-minute, and then I go all the way up to 6, 12, 24. So VR is just not for me in that terms. But yeah, let's plug it into the rig. Let's jump in. We'll do it with and without lights, so you can really get a feel of the lighting. But yeah, okay.
Okay, once the Cube controls USB wires connected at the bottom here, which is a really convenient spot, get that mounted to our wheelbase, lock it down in the quick release, and it's that sturdy feeling I mentioned before, the wire wrapped around. This is where the build quality comes into play. Feels absolutely brilliant. This is quite the feeling. Let's run through some buttons I use. Pit limiter. When it's clicked, it flashes. Let me know the pit limiter's on. I have no use for this button as yet. I'm always open to ideas. This one I use for chat. So if you always see me racing with other people or community or spotter, when it's down, they can't hear me. When it's up, they can. When it's down, however, I do have the option for push to talk. So I use this button to engage that when this is down. I use this for iRacing radio. So when I press it, other drivers can hear me. Now, I did map a bias sticker to here, but however, I use the brake bias here and here. Just quite like the idea of being able to control it just before a braking zone or on the exit of a bend without having to release my hand. And there's plenty of spare buttons on this, so I quite like using the plus and minus here. I use this for muting the iRacing chat if they're getting a bit noisy or I just don't want to hear them. Click this, it toggles them muted. Click it again, it toggles them back. These left and right ones here, I use those to cycle through my black boxes. So tyres, fuel, stand-ins, relative, left and right. I use this to get in and out of the car. So press and hold it to get out. I don't use this button, although I have been tempted to map this for visor tear off, something I'll look at in the future. These thumb rotaries I use for traction control 1 and traction control 2. I used to have problems with them. I was so used to a GT wheel, so when I first switched to a Formula wheel, I used to catch them, but I don't have that problem anymore. We've talked about the red rotary, the potentiometer, for adjusting the second biting point of the left-hand side lower clutch. Okay, let's head out on track, do a lap, and I'll show you some of the buttons in use. So obviously I've mentioned this before and I will mention it again. Love the gear shifts in this car. Let's head on out.
Pit lane speed limit is 60
pit limit
kilometers
on.
per hour.
So I exit, you can see it flashing away. Limiter off. Very sturdy feeling. This is my first lap of the day, so always a nice feeling, I have to admit. So it gives you a really sturdy sense. There's no flex whatsoever in the rim. Very strong feeling. I love the lit LEDs. The lit momentary buttons. They give it a proper LED feel. And even when you're not looking down at your wheel, you can gauge exactly where they are. Or if you're racing at night, then, well, you're in luck. I'll cover the joystick in a moment. Once we stop, I'll run through that. Do one lap, then we're boxing. Alright, let's take the Schumacher SS flat on our first go. Slight lift, David, come on. I'm really liking this Corvette. This track has such a nice flow to it. So, one button I didn't mention, I use this for engine map. Fuel saving. Really like it. I don't use it all that much, so that's why I don't mind it at all being on a rotary. I missed the pit entry there a little bit. Right, so we're going to get ready to use our pit limiter, which is well placed. There we go.
Look out for the pit speed limit.
So we get that instant confidence that it's on from the flashing. Right, so let's jump out the car and bring up the black box overlay so you can see. Okay, now let's take a look at the black box. Now we're out the car. As I mentioned earlier, I use the left and right buttons here to navigate through the black box. Let's just jump out the car so you can see that clearer. Left and right through, so fuel, tyres, relative standings and all that. Multi-directional joystick, I use obviously down for down, up for up. I use right for incrementing, increment the fuel, left for decrement, and I use the click of the joystick, literally clicking it in. There's a select, deselect, so I head over to tyres and click the front left, down, down, click the front right. You can see that works. Now, as alluded to earlier in the video, that I wasn't aware of, the actual joystick has a rotary on top, which I think is clever, well placed. It's just not something I'm used to having, so can't wait to get that mapped. But yeah, I'm sure I can't hide it well, but I'm a big fan of the Q Controls rim. I have no complaints. It's rigid, it's firm. I love the layout of the buttons. It seems very well thought out. Everything seems to be where I would put it had I designed. And no complaints at all. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how I use the black box because that's sometimes a little bit more difficult to show off. Right, let's jump out the rig and finish our review.
Okay, to wrap things up, let's first of all take a look in the box. First thing that impressed me, the stickers. I hope you can see that well. These are fun, fantastic, and durable. So I've actually used these on 2 wheels now, and it has everything you could want. Let you take a quick gander. But fuel, traction control, brake bias, engine map settings. Let me read out a few on the side. Radio, flash, wiper, boost, fuel map, engine lap, ABS, TC, reset, enable, RPMs, previous, next. You can go to town. Actually, one thing I also did is I mix and matched. So I had a circular one that I wanted to say engine map. So I actually stuck 2 stickers on top of each other, and I've got no complaints. That was on my CSX2. Make sure you sub to see the review of that wheel. It's pretty dang fantastic. Put that to one side. It also comes in this nice cloth bag to store your wheel in, which has a pull tie in there, blue colour. Really nice, really good material. It's good for keeping dust and keeping it safe. Also comes with their proprietary USB cable that comes out the back. So it has a coiled design. It's got plenty length, stretches. If your wheel coils up, this thing will stretch to resist damaging the PC or damaging your wheel. Now I do mention it is a proprietary cable. I've had no problem, but I've spoke to people who have had problems with this. So make sure it's all about the setup and just making sure you have a good setup with how your wheel and PC are connected, that you're not pushing it to its limits. Make sure you've rotated your wheel enough times just to make sure you have the safe distance. But I can't think of many ways I could have done it better. So once you put it in the back of the wheel, has a rotation to lock it down, other end in the PC, and you're set. Really, really happy. The quick release is easy to fit, has several mounting options. As I mentioned, the compatibility. I've connected it to my Simucube, to my Leo Bodnar. It's no issues at all. So at €778, would I recommend this wheel rim? Yes, I think it's fantastic. The price, the build, the firmness, the software, I just couldn't be more happy. Yeah, I've had no problems, honestly. I have used this in 25, 30 officials, 4 or 5 endurance races, and never missed a shift. Right, I hope you enjoyed this review. I've got lots more coming, so make sure you subbed, and if you enjoyed, like the video. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye all.